What if I told you that most of your financial decisions aren't really yours? Sounds exaggerated, right? But the truth is, there's a dark psychology of consumption working behind the scenes, silently influencing every choice you make, from that harmless purchase to decisions that directly impact your financial life. And the most unsettling part, you might be spending money you don't have, to impress people who don't even care about you. The system is subtle, almost invisible. It makes you believe you need more status, more appearance, more validation. And before you realize it, you're trapped in a cycle of modern consumerism, trying to keep up with standards that don't match your reality. Have you ever felt like you needed to buy something just to not fall behind? Or that feeling that everyone is progressing except you? Yeah, that's not a coincidence. Now let me ask you something directly. How many financial decisions have you made trying to appear as something you didn't even need to be? Comment down below. I realized if you've ever fallen into this cycle, because recognizing it already puts you ahead of most people. And if this kind of content resonates with you, make sure to like and subscribe, because what you're about to understand today can completely change the way you see money. Because throughout this video, you'll realize that it's not just about spending, it's about how you were conditioned to think, feel, and act without even noticing. And once that realization hits, you'll never see money the same way again. Deep down, you know it, even if you don't easily admit it, you want to be accepted. It sounds simple, almost innocent, but this is exactly where one of the most powerful triggers of consumer psychology and financial behavior begins. From an early age, you learn that belonging to a group means safety, recognition, and even personal value. That's why many of your financial decisions aren't rational, they're emotional. When you buy something, you're often not purchasing a product, you're trying to buy acceptance. Your brain works in a curious way, it rewards you whenever you feel accepted. A compliment, a look of admiration, a positive comment, all of this releases dopamine and creates an immediate sense of pleasure. That's why modern consumerism is so tied to social validation. It's not just about having a new phone or branded clothes, it's about what that makes people think about you. And without realizing it, you start associating your worth with what you own. And here's a point that can completely change how you see money: social status has become an invisible currency. In many environments, especially on social media, appearing successful matters more than actually being successful. And this pushes you, almost without you noticing, into bad financial habits. You start spending more than you should, trying to sustain an image that doesn't represent your reality. Maybe you've done this before, upgrading your phone too soon, buying something just to not fall behind, or spending money you couldn't afford. The problem is that this doesn't happen consciously. You don't think, "I'm going to spend to be accepted." You just feel it. An impulse, a desire, an almost automatic need to fit in. And that's exactly where the danger of lacking emotional control with money comes in. When you don't understand what's behind your decisions, you lose control without realizing it. And these small choices, they silently accumulate. And the more you try to fit in, the more you realize it's never enough. There's always someone with more money, more status, more appearance of success. And without realizing it, you enter a race that never ends, a race that inevitably pulls you into an even more dangerous level: constant comparison with others. You might not realize it, but most of what you buy today isn't about utility, it's about what it communicates. In today's world, objects are no longer just objects, they've become symbols. And within consumer psychology, this is extremely powerful. A phone is not just a phone. Clothes are not just clothes. A car is not just transportation. All of it has become a silent way of telling the world who you are, or who you wish you were. When you choose a certain brand, style, or product, you are essentially speaking a social language. It's as if each item is a word, and together they form a message. And that message is usually tied to status, success, and acceptance. That's why modern consumerism influences your behavior so strongly, because it doesn't just sell things, it sells meaning. And often, you don't even realize you're buying more for perception than for necessity. Think about how many times you've wanted something not because you needed it, but because it would make you look more successful. A more expensive watch, a specific pair of sneakers, the latest phone, not necessarily for function, but for impact. This is one of the foundations of bad financial habits, spending based on image, not reality. And the problem isn't wanting good things, it's needing them to feel enough. You may not consciously realize it, but your brain is constantly comparing. Who has more, who is doing better, who progressed faster, and where you fit into all of this. This is one of the most silent and dangerous mechanisms within consumer psychology, because it creates a constant feeling of insufficiency. No matter how much you achieve, it always feels like someone is one step ahead. And social media has amplified this to an extreme level. You open your phone and within minutes you see trips, cars, achievements, perfect bodies, productive routines, all edited, filtered, and carefully selected. The problem is that your brain doesn't clearly distinguish between a highlight and full reality. And that's where that subtle but constant feeling is born, that your life is falling behind. This is powerful fuel for modern consumerism. Without realizing it, you start adjusting your decisions to try to keep up with that standard. If everyone is traveling, I need to as well. If everyone upgraded their phone, I can't fall behind. And little by little, you build bad financial habits based on comparison, not necessity. The most dangerous part is that it feels justified. After all, you just want to keep up, right? But here's the shift that changes everything. You're not comparing yourself to people's real lives, you're comparing yourself to their showcase. You don't see the debt, the insecurity, the problems, the sleepless nights. You only see the edited result. And when you try to compete with that without emotional control over money, you enter a completely unfair game, where frustration is almost guaranteed. And the more you feed this cycle, the more a dangerous illusion starts to form, the feeling that everyone is winning, except you. At some point, you start to feel like you've fallen behind. It seems like everyone is progressing, making more money, traveling more, achieving things, and you're stuck in the same place. This feeling doesn't appear out of nowhere, it's gradually built in your mind, fueled by consumer psychology and constant exposure to a distorted reality. And the more you believe it, the more pressure you feel to react. The problem is that this perception isn't real, it's an extremely well-constructed illusion. You see people showing achievements, moments of luxury, apparent victories, but you don't see the context behind it. You don't see debt, insecurity, or the behind-the-scenes struggles. Still, your brain interprets it as absolute truth. And that's where modern consumerism gains strength, because it offers you a quick solution to reduce that feeling of falling behind. So you try to keep up. Maybe you start spending more on experiences, clothes, electronics, or even social status, not because you need to, but because you want to feel like you're on the same level. This is one of the most common paths to developing bad financial habits, because you start building a life based on a standard that isn't sustainable. It's like running on a treadmill that never stops, you put in effort, but you don't move forward. And the more you try to keep up with this unrealistic standard, the further you drift from your actual financial reality. This starts to create a silent weight, anxiety, worry, the feeling that you're always behind, whether financially or in performance. At this point, your emotional control over money is already compromised, because your decisions are no longer strategic, they're reactive. And this is exactly where the cycle deepens, because to relieve that pressure and feeling of insufficiency, you start looking for a quick escape, and that's where one of the most addictive mechanisms comes in, the immediate pleasure of buying. At some point, you realize that buying works, at least for a few minutes. That anxiety fades, the feeling of falling behind disappears, and for a moment, everything seems to make sense again. This doesn't happen by accident, it's pure consumer psychology in action. Every time you buy something, your brain releases dopamine, creating a sense of pleasure and reward. It's almost like you're winning something, even if you're not. This is the big trick of modern consumerism, it doesn't just sell products, it sells emotional relief. You had a bad day. Buy something. Feeling insufficient. Buy something. Want to feel more confident? Buy something. And without realizing it, you start using consumption as a tool to regulate your emotions. The problem is that this creates a pattern, and patterns, when repeated, become bad financial habits. Think about that classic situation: you buy something you didn't really need, but feel an immediate happiness. Maybe it's a new pair of sneakers, an accessory, a phone upgrade, and for a moment, you feel better, more confident, even more in control. This small emotional spike reinforces the behavior. And the more you repeat it, the more your brain understands that spending money is an effective way to feel good. But there's something most people ignore: this pleasure has an expiration date. It's intense, but extremely short. And when you don't develop emotional control with money, you become dependent on this cycle, always chasing the next stimulus, the next purchase, the next reward. It's like running after something that never lasts. And that's where the real problem begins, because what seemed like a solution starts revealing its true effect: the emptiness that comes right after. Right after that peak of satisfaction, something changes, and you feel it. That initial excitement starts to fade, the enthusiasm disappears, and what seemed amazing just hours ago no longer has the same shine. This happens because the pleasure generated by consumption is temporary. It's chemistry, not transformation. Within consumer psychology, this is known as adaptation. Your brain quickly gets used to what once felt special. And in that moment, something quieter emerges: emptiness. You look at what you bought and, deep down, realize it didn't solve what was really bothering you. The anxiety may return, the comparison continues, the feeling of insufficiency comes back. And the most dangerous part is that your brain has already learned a path: if buying helped before, maybe it will help again. And that's how modern consumerism sustains itself, not through logic, but repetition. Without realizing it, you enter a cycle: discomfort by relief fades, discomfort returns. And every loop strengthens bad financial habits even more, because you start depending on it to feel okay. The problem is that with each repetition, the effect feels smaller, and the cost often becomes higher. Maybe you've experienced this: that purchase that felt essential, but days later made no difference. Or worse, you barely remember why you bought it. This isn't a lack of discipline, it's a lack of emotional control over money, combined with a system designed to keep you in this pattern. And the more you repeat it, the harder it becomes to break free. And while you try to fill that emptiness with more consumption, something is happening behind the scenes, something most people don't notice, but that directly influences every decision you make. You are being guided, invisibly, by strategies designed to exploit exactly these emotions. If you think you only buy because you want to, that might be the biggest illusion of all. Behind every purchase decision, there is an extremely sophisticated system studying you, your fears, desires, insecurities, and behavior patterns. This is the foundation of consumer psychology applied to modern marketing. Nothing is random. Every ad, every image, every sentence is designed to trigger something inside you. Think about it: how many times have you seen an ad that somehow made you feel insufficient, and then immediately presented a product as the solution? You'll be more confident with this. You'll be more admired. You'll stand out. Modern consumerism doesn't just sell utility, it sells identity. It makes you believe that by buying something, you're getting closer to the version of yourself you wish you were. And what's most interesting is that this is rarely direct. It's not obvious like, buy this to be accepted. It's subtle. It's in the details, the visuals, the lifestyles being portrayed. Influencers, brands, campaigns, all constantly reinforcing a version of success you feel like you need to reach. And without realizing it, this shapes your desires and feeds bad financial habits that seem completely justified. A simple example: you don't just want a pair of sneakers, you want what those sneakers represent. Status, belonging, recognition. And when you lack emotional control with money, it becomes much easier to fall into this trap, because your decisions are guided by emotion, not awareness. You feel like you're choosing, but in reality, you're being led. And once you start to see this clearly, one thing becomes obvious: it's not just about what you buy, it's about what you believe that purchase says about you. And that's exactly where the game changes, because status stops being a consequence, and becomes the product itself. At some point, without you noticing, the game changed. Before, people bought things for what they were; now, you buy for what they represent. Status stopped being a consequence and became the product. And within consumer psychology, this is a powerful shift, because it completely changes how you make decisions. You're no longer buying an object, you're buying a version of yourself. When you choose a more expensive phone, branded clothes, or even a certain lifestyle, what's at stake isn't just utility, it's perception. How you'll be seen. How you'll be treated. How you'll be remembered. This is the core of modern consumerism, turning ordinary things into symbols of personal value. And when you enter this game without realizing it, you start making financial decisions based on image, not reality. The most dangerous part is that it feels normal. Everyone around you is doing the same. Social media reinforces it, marketing validates it, and your entire environment pushes you in that direction. And little by little, you build bad financial habits without even questioning them. You start justifying expenses that, deep down, don't make sense, but feel necessary to maintain a certain image. Maybe you've felt this before, that desire to have something not because you need it, but because it matches who you want to be. That's not a coincidence. It's strategy. And without emotional control over money, it becomes very difficult to separate genuine desire from what has been planted in you over time. And when that line gets blurred, the risk increases. Because from this point on, the impact is no longer just emotional, it starts directly affecting your financial life, in a way many people only realize when they're already trapped. This is where things really start to get out of control. Because it's no longer just about wanting something, it's about paying for something you can't actually afford yet. And the system makes this dangerously easy. Credit cards, high limits, interest-free installments, everything feels accessible, almost harmless. But behind this, there's a perfectly designed mechanism of consumer psychology pushing you to anticipate a lifestyle that isn't yours yet. The problem is that modern consumerism teaches you to focus on the monthly payment, not the total price. Can it fit my budget? Instead of, can I actually afford this? This small distortion changes everything. Because you start taking on financial commitments based on emotion and impulse, not awareness. And without realizing it, you build a foundation of bad financial habits that accumulate month after month. Maybe you've been there, you make a purchase in installments and, at the moment, it feels light, almost irrelevant. But when combined with other payments, commitments, and expenses, it starts to weigh you down. And then comes that feeling of always owing something, always chasing, always trying to balance something that seems to slip away. This isn't always a lack of money, often, it's a lack of emotional control with money. The most dangerous part is that this creates an illusion of progress. You have things, you live experiences, you appear to be doing well, but financially, you're becoming more pressured. It's like building a beautiful house on unstable ground. From the outside, everything looks fine, but internally, the structure is compromised. And when this continues long enough, the impact stops being occasional, and starts shaping your entire reality, creating a lifestyle that simply isn't sustainable. At some point, you start to realize it's not just one purchase here and there, it's a pattern. An entire lifestyle being built on impulsive decisions, comparison, and the need for validation. And the problem is that this structure seems to work, until it doesn't. Because a life based on modern consumerism may look stable on the outside, but internally it depends on something fragile, money that is already committed. Debts start small, almost invisible. One payment here, another there, a credit limit used that you fix later, but over time, it grows. And before you know it, a significant part of your income is no longer yours, it's tied to past decisions. This is the direct result of bad financial habits accumulating without awareness over time. And along with that comes something people rarely talk about, the emotional weight. The anxiety of opening your banking app, the discomfort of thinking about the future, the feeling of always being behind, all of this becomes part of your routine. And the irony is that many of these decisions started with the intention of the opposite, to look good, feel accepted, appear in control. But without emotional control over money, the result ends up being the exact opposite. You might try to compensate by working more, earning more, finding new income sources, but if the pattern remains the same, the outcome remains the same. Because the problem isn't just how much you earn, it's how you decide to spend. And until that changes, the structure stays unstable, regardless of your income. And this is where many people have a wake-up call, because they realize that all this effort was guided by something that may have never been that important in the first place. Here's a truth that might feel uncomfortable, but also freeing: people are not thinking about you as much as you think they are. While you worry about what others think of your phone, your clothes, your lifestyle, everyone else is actually focused on their own problems, insecurities, and lives. And understanding this completely changes how you see consumer psychology. Modern consumerism makes you believe you're constantly being watched, evaluated, judged. As if every detail of your life is under scrutiny. But reality is very different. Most people barely remember what you wore yesterday, let alone what you bought or didn't buy. And yet, you might be making important financial decisions based on this distorted perception. This directly leads to building bad financial habits, because you start spending energy and money trying to impress people who, deep down, aren't paying that much attention. It's like stepping onto a stage where you think there's a huge audience, but in reality, almost no one is watching. And the cost of that, over time, can be very high. When you develop emotional control with money, you start to realize how unnecessary many of those decisions were. How many purchases were made for validation, how many choices were driven by fear of judgment, how many times you sacrificed your financial peace for something that lasted only minutes of approval, if that. And when this realization hits, something changes inside you, because if no one is really paying that much attention, then an inevitable question arises: if it's not for others, why are you still doing it? Now everything starts to become clearer, because when you connect the dots, you realize it was never just about purchases, status, or comparison. It was about exchange. A silent exchange you've been making over time, your future for momentary validation. Every impulsive decision, every unnecessary expense, every choice driven by consumer psychology was, in practice, a small piece of your freedom being given away. The most dangerous thing about modern consumerism is that it doesn't look like a problem in the short term. In fact, it feels like progress, pleasure, belonging. But in the long run, the cost appears. And it appears as limitation. Less freedom, fewer options, more pressure. Because while you're trying to maintain an image, time passes, and financial consequences start to accumulate. Maybe you've never thought about it this way, but every time you prioritize appearing over building, you reinforce bad financial habits that delay your life. And it's not about never spending, never enjoying, or living restricted, it's about awareness. It's about understanding the real cost of every decision you make today. When you develop emotional control with money, you start seeing beyond the moment. You stop acting on impulse and start acting with strategy. And that changes everything. Because now you're no longer trying to impress, you're building. And there's a huge difference between those two things: one traps you, the other frees you. And maybe this is the most important question of all: if you keep going down the same path, making the same decisions, chasing the same validation, what will your future actually look like? Now answer honestly: how many decisions you've made so far were truly yours? And how many were influenced by this invisible system of consumer psychology? When you start to see this clearly, it becomes impossible to ignore the impact modern consumerism has had on your life, not just on your money, but on your freedom, your choices, and your future. The question now is no longer understanding, it's deciding. Will you keep repeating the same bad financial habits, chasing momentary validation, and maintaining a pattern that traps you? Or will you start, little by little, to take control and develop real emotional control with money? Because change doesn't happen in one big moment, it starts in the small decisions you make every single day. Think about this. What if, starting today, you began spending with awareness? What if every decision was based on your future, not other people's opinions? What if you stopped trying to impress, and started building? It may sound simple, but this is exactly what separates those who stay stuck in this cycle, from those who break free. Now I want to hear from you. What was the biggest trap you realized you've fallen into? Comment below, because when you bring it to the surface, you start breaking the pattern. And if this content opened your mind in any way, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because from now on, you'll never see money the same way again.